Okay, welcome everybody. So I'm just so excited just to launch off this first Zoom of the month and just get started, making September just a month that, is truly a September to remember. I remember September last year and remember everything that happened for our team across the board. And I'm just absolutely so excited about everything that's in store this month, team-wide, especially with the points, vacation points contest that we have going on with corporate now and everything else, green carpet coming. I know it's going to be such an incredible month. So Monique and I are absolutely so excited just to give you guys just our best tips on, getting this month started off right and getting it started off strong. Before we really jump in, we're just both going to quickly introduce ourselves. I see some new faces, and I know we have several newbies on here tonight. So my name is Brittani Hayes. I am your Ambassador Diamond Leader. If you're new with us, welcome to the team. We are absolutely so excited to have you on board, and we just can't even wait to see what's in store for you. I've been in the business for 3 years, and I got started after following my enroller on social media for a while. And after jumping in, after watching her for so long and just being so fearful and wondering if anything could ever come of it for me, I finally worked up the courage to reach out. Once I got started, I just kind of had that mindset of like, okay, if it works for her, it's going to work for me. And we're going to talk about having that mindset tonight. So I'm super excited about that. But since, starting 3 years ago, I've been able to retire my husband, pay off all of our debt. We had over $120,000 of debt, you guys, that we paid off because of this business. We've been able to move to our dream location down in Southwest Florida, and just our lives look nothing like they did when we started 3 years ago. And I'm just so excited just to see what's to come, but even more so to see what is to come for all of you guys over these next few months, because these are the months when big things start happening. These are the months when, 3 years ago when we got started, we really started laying the bricks and preparing, everything that started to, just happen and accumulate really quickly that really changed our family's life. So I'm just super excited. And on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Monique and let her introduce herself too.
Hi, everybody. I'm Monique Young. I actually got started it was a year last month, actually. And I was watching Brittani, my enroller, on Instagram. And at the time, I was going through recovering from breast cancer, where actually I was in the middle of getting chemo and radiation treatments. And I had been watching her for like probably about 6 months before I just finally got up the nerve to go ahead and reach out to her and say, what is this? Because I kept seeing her posting her story over and over and over about how she retired her husband and moved to Florida and stuff like that. And I was just praying about it because at that time, before getting sick, I was working 2 jobs and I couldn't do that anymore, of course, because of the cancer. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay my medical bills without putting too much stress and strain on myself. I have a daughter in college. So I was like, what do I have to lose? So I reached out to her, signed up. And like I said, here I am, Diamond Leader a year later. And I'm so excited for September. I've seen all the fire going on in the chat today. And I'm just so excited about this month and what's coming going forward.
I love it. I can't even wait to watch you go double diamond this month. I know it's coming. Okay, so we're going to just really break down just the 3 things that we believe are crucial to having an incredible month. And those 3 steps are, step 1, to believe. You've got to believe if anything's going to happen. Step 2, you've got to decide and make a plan. So after that, after you've gotten the belief down pat, you have to make a decision. I know a lot of people who believe but haven't actually decided they're going to do it. So you've got to believe, you've got to decide and make a plan. And then step 3, you've got to execute that plan and just go for it. You've got to stop getting ready to get ready, and you've just got to put one foot in front of the other and just go. So I'm going to pass it over to Monique, first things first, to go over belief and why that's so important, and how like she really, made that decision when she got started to believe, and like what she did to help with that.
Right. The reason why I think believing is so important is because, it comes back to faith, and you got to have faith. You got to have faith in what you're doing. You got to have faith in God. And I think for me, coming out of breast cancer, I have lived through a lot, and I know that I couldn't have done that without my faith and without God. And so in this business, it's the same. I mean, you got to look at things that you're trying to accomplish in life the same way. If God can pull you through one thing, he can pull you through another. And I think in this business, you have to decide, what am I really doing? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Why did I sign up? What pulled me to this business? And then you just got to believe that you can do it. I mean, if you're seeing over and over and over, you're seeing other people promoting, you're seeing other people growing their team daily, posting daily, things like that. You have to do the same thing. That's the only way it's going to work. And you got to believe it's going to work. I mean, because you got to think about it. If someone is trying to get you to do something and they don't sense your confidence, they don't sense your belief, they don't sense the faith that you have in what you're doing, then they're not going to want to do it either.
Absolutely. And I just love so much that you hit on that last point, Monique, because I think it's so important to remember, like, other people aren't going to believe in something we don't believe in.
Right.
But belief is so contagious. I remember when Amanda Stein reached out to me, she reached out to me, you guys, when I was an executive. She's a triple diamond on the team today, running for presidential. And when she reached out, I was an executive in the business. I was making maybe $200 a month. And she reached out, she asked me some questions. I had to follow up with her for a few months. She ended up joining. When she joined later that month, I went diamond. And when she saw me go diamond and then saw me go double a couple months later, she was really confused, and she reached out and she said, I thought you were already way past this when I reached out to you. She said, the way that you were talking, how excited you were about the business, I just assumed you must have been a top-end converter with the company. And that is what is so powerful about believing in yourself, you guys, because when you believe in yourself, it doesn't matter if you've only made $20 so far. That belief is so contagious, and people can sense, like, oh my gosh, she's a part of something huge. I've got to get on board. And it doesn't mean that you have to have, the six-figure success to prove it before anyone's going to join you. Like, I know people that are more inspiring as a Ruby in the company than in another ambassador diamond, because they're excited and their belief is high, and they're, expectant about what's to come. And so never underestimate the power of simply believing that you can. I shared this in a live in Fire Tribe just yesterday, I think, but I watched a sermon that I shared in a couple of the chats a couple days ago, and he said, it's Pastor Michael Todd, he's a pastor out of Tulsa, and he shared in the sermon, he said, it's so interesting that so many Christians have enough faith to believe God for their salvation, but not enough faith to believe that God is capable of moving them past where they're at now. And I just want to share that with you guys in case any of you, weren't watching that live or didn't watch the sermon I shared, because I thought that was just, that for me, that just, I couldn't say it better myself. I think that just really drives the point home hard. So decide today that you believe in yourself. And I promise you, when you believe in yourself, other people will start to believe in you too. But step two is once you believe, you got to decide. Kind of like I shared just a second ago, you can believe, but not actually do anything with that belief. And I know you guys have heard, faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith, but be sitting back and not doing anything to actually move that along. And I think that it's so important to remember that God can't bless what we won't do. So we've got to make that decision, and then we've got to make a plan. So I'm going to pass it over to Monique again and let her talk about like what it really looks like to tangibly make a plan.
Okay, you have to first things first, I want to talk about the charting. Because I think that once you decide that you're going to really run with this business, pulling out your chart is so important. You got to know, you can't just be out there if you're signing up distributors and, sticking them anywhere, going all over the chart with no plan. And if you don't know how to chart, then you need to get with your enroller so you can learn how to chart, because that is so important. I know that, the training videos have a lot of information. It's probably hard to absorb all of that at one time. But once you start really getting into enrolling and stuff like that, it's very important that you are putting these people in the right place, because if you're not, then it's not going to get you where you're trying to go. So that's very important. And if you're serious about this and you've made a decision to do it, then you will take the time out to print off a chart or use your iPad or whatever you have that you're charting on, and get with your enroller and let them help you figure out how to fill out your chart. And even if it's when if you have to reach out every time you enroll a distributor or enroll a customer, until you get it down packed, because it's so important. I know this because I've done it. I've sat there and put people in places that I know that later on that they shouldn't have been there. And if I had put them somewhere else, then I would be farther along. So if you don't understand how to chart, it's very important to get with your enroller and learn how to chart. Take the time out. It only takes a few minutes. And once you do it every day, I mean, do it repetitive, not every day, but once you get in a routine of doing it and looking at the charting, it becomes easier. So you'll know what you need. You'll know where you need to put your loyal customers. You'll know where you need to put your distributors.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, you guys, like, don't let charting intimidate you. It's one of those things you learn as you go. You learn by action. So much of this business we learn by signing a distributor, figuring out what to do, signing a customer, figuring out where to place them. And so don't let that intimidate you. Like Monique said, get with your enroller. Your team is always going to be there to help you. So once you've pulled out your chart and you've updated it, what you really want to do is you want to make sure, and I'm talking to those of you that have been in the business a while, not so much those of you who are brand new, but those of you that have been in the business a while, make sure that you're taking any non-workers out of the Ruby spots, the Ruby and above spots on your chart. So if you are a diamond pushing for double, if you're a Ruby just quit, you're not going to keep building that Ruby to Emerald. You're going to go ahead and find someone under that Ruby who is working, who you can pull up, who you can work closely with. So that's, step one that I wanted to hit on with, making your plan. And step two is contacting everyone on your team who maybe hasn't worked for a while, but was working at one point. Also contacting people who you signed a while ago who never actually got started. So people who, literally you signed them up, they were excited, and then they just ghosted you. Contact them. People go through changes of life every few months, you guys. And so someone who you signed 4 months ago who never worked may be in a position right now where they really need this business more than ever. They maybe, just got a bunch of medical bills in the mail, or maybe they just got, a bill for their kid's school. Maybe they're a college student and they realize how much books are going to cost this year. You name it. And they may realize, like, what, that business that I put on the back burner 4 months ago, I actually do need that now. So check in with everybody. Leave no stone unturned. I can't tell you how many times someone has gotten started with me and I've literally not known if they're ever going to work. And then 9 months later, a year later, even, they're like, okay, I'm ready now. So don't give up on anybody. Make sure you're contacting everybody. And it's kind of going back to taking non-workers off of those, Ruby and above positions. I just want to remind everyone that it's so much better to build new and start over than it is to force something that isn't happening. So don't get intimidated if you were fully charted double diamond or triple diamond and there's a whole leg that you kind of have to start over with. Don't let that intimidate you. I promise you, trying to force that leg along is going to take so much longer than if you just would find the one person that's working. I don't care if they're at the very bottom, and contact them and say, hey, I want to run with you. Let's run and get you enrolled this month. I know together we can do it. And then run with them. I want to tell a quick story real quick before we move on to the next point. But the month that Zach was going double diamond. So I went double diamond in March of 2017 and Zach went double diamond in April. The month that I went double diamond, Zach was my diamond. So he had a ruby and an emerald. His emerald was on fire. She was going diamond, no problem. That ruby, I had to force her to go ruby that month. She wasn't working. I had built the whole leg and it was collapsing. No one was working in that entire leg. And that next month was Zach's last month to get his double diamond bonus. So the month he went double diamond, that was the last month to get it. And I was talking to Claire at the beginning of that month. For those of you that don't know, Claire's my enroller. And I said, I just signed someone that I was super excited about. And I said, I'm going to run with her and we're going to get her emerald this month for Zach's emerald. And she said, wait, you're not going to use, and she said who the ruby was. And I said, no. I said, she's been nowhere to be found. She hasn't worked this whole time. I had to force that whole leg. I said, if I work with this new person that's on fire and is hungry, it's going to happen so much faster than if I try to force the old leg that no one's working. And she was like, okay. She's like, you know what you're doing, trust your gut. And I was like, no, I know this is going to be good. And at the end of that month, it was 27 days after the girl signed, we got her to emerald. So in 27 days, we built a new emerald. And that is the power of believing that you can, not stressing over what's not working, not stressing over what hasn't ever been working, and just running with the person that's hungry. When she joined me, I literally said to her, I said, I need to run with someone to emerald this month for my husband to go double. I want it to be you. Are you ready to run with me and make that happen? It's a big promotion. It's skipping 3 promotions. I know you're brand new. I know it's a lot. I won't lie to you and tell you it'll be easy. But if you are ready to take that on, I'll run with you. I know we can do it. And she was like, yeah, I'm down. She's like, I need this more than ever. And we did it. And so I say that to say, like, that's what can happen when you find the right person who's ready. And I promise you, if I would have tried to force that other leg, Zach would have not promoted to double diamond and got a $30,000 bonus that month. So let that be the inspiration you need to run with someone new this month. Find that, I don't care if you have one person working on your team, you guys, you and that one person can get so much more done than you like stressing and worrying about everyone that's not working. I think when we get to that place in our business where we can work out of peace and not out of desperation, it's amazing what starts coming together. But when we're trying to force things that aren't happening, we're working out of that place out of desperation, and we're stressed, we're anxious, we're like in that panicky feeling all the time. And it's so freeing to just let that go and just be like, God, show me who you're bringing me. Who am I meant to help right now? And kind of like, you know, the analogy you guys of the two fish and the 5 loaves of bread, the little boy, when Jesus fed the 5,000, God can do far more with a little. He can do far more with one person who's willing than he can with a lot of people who aren't solution minded. The disciples saw no way that Jesus could feed that crowd, but that one little boy walked up and gave what he had, and Jesus did a lot with it. And I know that's a little bit of a different example than what we're talking about, but I just want to remind everyone, like, don't underestimate what God can do if you have faith and you're willing and you're going to run with that one person that is. So, okay. Going from there, step 3, after you've made the decision and you've made your plan, you've gotten your chart out, you've gotten, you know, everything ready, then you have to execute that plan. You have to just go. Monique, I'm going to pass it back over to you. Do you just want to talk about just why this is so important to not just stay in that mode where we're just getting ready to get ready and we just keep delaying, keep procrastinating, but we just bite the bullet and we just go for it?
Yeah, you have to, it's all about, you know, putting the work in. I mean, you know, it's not easy. I know that it does take some time, but if you get into a consistent routine of when you're posting, like map out a plan. Like if you're going to post in the morning, you're going to post in the afternoon, you're going to post after dinner. I mean, you need to be posting 3 to 6 times a day. You need to be consistent with your story at night. I mean, it's so important because you never know who's watching you. And even though nobody's liking it, even though nobody's commenting, they're watching. They're watching constantly. I know because of a girl that I just enrolled, a young college student. I don't know if she's on here tonight, but we were not even friends. But she reached out to me. She sent me a friend request, and then she just got in my inbox immediately and said she wanted to know about this opportunity. The only way that that girl could have done that, or she could have known anything about this opportunity, is because I have been constantly putting up posts, constantly telling my story, using a host of posts, just keeping it going, keeping a pattern going. Because what happens is if you work really hard 2 or 3 days and then you slack off and then you come back, people are thinking that you're just spam. They're not even sure that you know, that it's you posting. They think somebody's just hacked your page maybe and is randomly posting some stuff. But if you're constantly posting over and over your story, telling your story over and over, what this business is doing for you. And if you don't have a story yet, you can use somebody else's story. You can talk about your enroller story. You can tell, you know, what the business has done for your enroller and what you're trying to get to, what you're trying to accomplish with this business. It always goes back to why you signed up. What pulled you to it? What was your point? What was your purpose? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? So I think that's what you have to do. And then you just have to keep going forward. And sometimes you're gonna fall. I've fallen off my horse before. I can honestly say that July and August were probably my 2 hardest months. And I fell off my horse, but it's not about falling off the horse. It's about getting back up on the horse and keep going forward. My horse doesn't run backwards, it goes forward. So you just have to keep moving forward.
I love that so much. I think it's just so important, you guys, to set an incredible example, regardless of what anyone else is doing. If you have no one working on your team, that's fine. You show up anyways. You set the example. And don't be afraid of failure. Like Monique said, don't be afraid of falling down, making mistakes. If that's how we learn and that's where we grow, you know, I'm just going to say it. No one grows when they're up on the mountaintop and they just boom, 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 promoted 8 times. Mm-hmm. They grow when they're in the valley, when they're going through the hard things, when, like Monique said, they fall off their horse. That's when we grow, and that's when our characters develop. That's when we, you know, really are able to strengthen our skills and we're able to strengthen our resolve. And that's honestly when we inspire people more than ever, because people see who we are and what we're truly capable of. And I just want, everyone on here to like take that away tonight and hold on to that the most powerful thing you can do is just go for it and set an incredible example. You have no idea who's watching you, who is drawing strength from you. I know, I'm just going to shout Monique out because she is fiercely consistent, you guys. And I have so many people that will text me after seeing her blow up the enrollment chats, new LC from host to post. And then like 5 minutes later, she's like 2 new LCs from host to post. And people will literally message me and they're like, she's always so on fire. She's always so consistent no matter what's going on. And you just have no idea who even maybe isn't directly on your team, but is a sideline to you, who is having a bad day, but seeing you be consistent, seeing you show up, that inspires them. That gives them a little bit more strength to keep going and to like believe in themselves that they can do it too. And I think at the end of the day, when we realize that we're all brought here for a purpose, and that God has put us here for a purpose bigger than we could ever imagine, we realize that everything we do, like every step we make in the right direction, every step we take forward, every time we do the right thing, even like Monique said, when it's hard, we're tired, we don't feel like it, God uses that for a bigger purpose, even if we can't see it right there in that moment. And so kind of going forward from there, we wanted to talk about just like some tangible things that you can do to have the best month. Step one is getting on these Zooms. You guys, shout out to the 42 people that are on here right now, because I know who's serious about their business when they get on the Zooms. If you're serious about your business, you're going to show up. I can tell you guys right now, when I started this business, I was on every Zoom I could get on. I didn't care if there was like 3 back-to-back, 3 nights in a row. If I saw a Zoom advertised, I was getting on because I was hungry to learn. I was hungry to go where those people were at. And so get on anything you can get on. If you see there's a corporate live, if you see there is, someone live in one of the team pages, anything, you name it, like get on, because I'm telling you, in your weakest moments, you're going to be able to draw some inspiration and draw some strength from that. Even if you feel like you've already heard it all, even if you feel like you've learned so much already, there's going to be one thing that's shared that you're like, you know what, that's good. I can implement that this week. But I'm going to pass it over to Monique and let her talk about just some tangible things, especially Monique, if you want to hit on host to post, because I know you're killing it with host to post, but just like things that people can literally put into action to start having just an incredible month.
Yeah. The important thing about host to post, I think, is that I want to go back to what I had actually posted in the Fire Tribe, because first things first is, if you agree to do host to post, don't comment and say that you're in and don't follow through. I mean, if you're serious about your business, if you're expecting God to bless your efforts, you have to be honest. So if you're willing, if you're going to comment on the host to post, please do what you're supposed to do. Follow up, send your money in and stuff like that. Because if you're not being honest, you're wasting time. You're wasting time. Your efforts are not going to be blessed if you're not being honest. That's first things first. And then I know a lot of people talk about how the host to posts don't work. You got to be careful with, for one, who you're asking to put the post up. Because if they're one of those friends or family members that's always posting memes and always having a lot of negativity and stuff like that on their page, you're not going to get much from that. So you got to be careful with that. And you also have to be careful, like when you start advertising for the host to post, you got to think about the peak times of when people are on Facebook. Most of the time that's going to be in the morning, during lunch, and after dinner. So when you put those posts up, try to put them up around that time, because you're probably going to get more hits on it. And then don't just put it up and then forget about it 2 or 3 weeks. Put it up at least once a week. Put up the giveaway. Like this month is $250 Amazon card. Put that up like once a week, and then and go from there. And then start contacting everybody that hits it. It's going to be work, because I'm telling you, this month I think I put up like 55 host to posts. And I mean, it's a lot of work. You're going to be going back and forth from Messenger to, the comments and all that to the timeline review, but it's going to pay off in the long run. Don't get discouraged when you put up the host to post. They start tagging you in there, and then everybody you're talking to is not following through. They're not responding to you and stuff like that. Prime example is I had 2 people that told me that they were going to enroll last week for the hair, skin, and nails vitamins. I kept hitting them up. They weren't responding back to me. They contacted me and got enrolled. So it didn't happen last week, but it did happen. So it's about planting the seeds, keep watering, and it's going to harvest. Even if it doesn't happen when you want it to, it's going to happen. But you got to be consistent. Don't just give up because you're not getting it right then. It's going to come later. And you have to know that. You have to believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, one thing you can be so sure of is that if you always plant seeds, you'll always have a harvest to reap. The customer I signed today, this morning, was for host to post, and it was 30 BB hair skin nails, just like what Monique was just sharing. This was from a host to post that I had someone post for me last November. That's 10 months ago, you guys. And I've been following up with this girl this entire time. She hasn't even been answering my follow-ups. And the last time I followed up with her was a month ago, and she messaged me out of the blue this weekend and just said, hey, I'm ready. Can I still get it at that deal you were telling me about? And then I still had to follow up with her 2 more times. She messaged me on Friday, and I had to follow up with her again over the weekend, and then today, and we got her order in today. So like Monique said, it's like you're planting seeds, and your seeds are going to harvest, but you've got to, plant those seeds in faith and water them diligently, follow up, and know that you're going to harvest them. And in the meantime, kind of going back to working out of peace and not working out of desperation, plant your seeds in peace, knowing that if I keep planting, I'm going to keep harvesting. If these seeds, like Monique said, like she had to wait a week to harvest them, but she didn't stop planting in the meantime. She was still planting new stuff while she waited on those. And so that's like the name of the game, you guys, is like consistently planting. Another thing that you can do is be relentlessly consistent with your 6 list. So if you're in the September enrollment accountability chat, you guys have already seen the 6 list that's in there, have that saved to your phone. If that's not already a habit, commit to making those things a habit this month. Those things that you do daily, you guys, over the long haul, that is where you're going to see your success come from. When people ask me, how have you signed your distributors? You guys heard Monique say she was watching my story. She kept seeing me post my story on Instagram. Finally, she reached out. Those are when people ask me, like, how do you sign your distributors? How are you signing your customers? I can point back to my 6 list and say, it's the things I do daily. It's the things that I've done, consistently over the past 3 years. That, even on the days it doesn't look like anything's coming from it, then tomorrow something comes from it. You just have to consistently do those things. Your 6 list is basically, if you had a 9-to-5 job and you didn't do your 6 list, you'd get fired. Like that is like your bare minimum things to run your business. So I just encourage you, if you haven't yet made those a habit, make those things a habit. But another thing that you can do is tell your story every single day with a call to action at the end. So if you need some inspiration for this, you can look at Monique's page. She shares her story every day. You can look at my page. I share my story every day. And you'll notice that at the end, we always put a call to action. So like message or text opportunity to, and we have our phone number. You guys, when I signed Monique a year ago, she texted me the word opportunity. And then we talked, and then we got her signed up. So like this, it's so huge to give your people a call to action, because some people, they're watching you and they maybe don't exactly know what to say, and giving them that one word is all they need to like reach out, and then you start talking to them and give them information. And then another thing, just to get in the habit of doing like every single day this month, is just following up all the time. Anyone that you talked to yesterday, follow up today, and then have your regular follow-ups that you do on Fridays as well. And I'm going to pass it over to Monique because she is a boss at follow-ups. So I want her to just share some tips with you guys, especially if maybe follow-ups are not your strong suit. Guys, she makes it so simple. So I'm just so excited for you guys to hear her tips, because this is where the money comes from, you guys, is following up.
Yeah. So what I usually do is, especially if it's on Messenger, like a lot of times people will tell you, well, I don't get paid until Tuesday, or I don't get paid until the 5th, or whatever. So I've been using the Messenger reminder. If you go in Messenger, there's like a little box to the left. If you click on that box, it has several different options in there. And one of those options is reminder. And what I do is I use that. So if they tell me they're getting paid on the 5th and they can do it, then I put a reminder in for the 5th. And I usually put it in for like 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So if I don't hear from them after 12 p.m., I'm contacting them. So that's one way. And then I'm a very visual person, so I like to see stuff written out sometimes. So I have a little book that I journal in. So like anybody that I plan on following up with, I write it down. If they're a potential DT or a potential LC, whatever there is, and what product. So I do that a lot. And I just go back through my Messenger periodically as well, just to make sure that I didn't miss someone, because it's so easy to miss them. I mean, I went back and found people that I would, that I probably was supposed to follow up with that I didn't put a reminder on, and went back to them and said, hey, are you still interested in ordering? And they go ahead and order. So I always go back through your messenger, because there's some that will fall through the cracks, but as well use the reminder and then write. And if you are very visual like me, write it down. I think Amanda shared a little like a little chart that you can print off. I think it's in Freedom Legacy, that has like a grid that you can fill out, that you can put their name, where you contacted them from, how many times you followed up with them, and just keep following up. One thing you got to be is confident. You don't be scared. I mean, the worst they can do is tell you no. The worst they can do is ignore you or tell you no, one of the two. And so just don't be scared. Just be confident, have faith, and just keep following up. Just keep following up. Eventually they're going to order, or they're going to unfriend you, and if they unfriend you, oh well, who cares?
Yeah, no, exactly. And that kind of leads me to the last thing I wanted to touch on. And after this, I'll pass it back to Monique. Any final tips you want to share with everybody? But Monique mentioned being confident. Do your self-development, you guys. If you are doing self-development every single day, I don't care if you feel like you're the most insecure person on the block, you won't be in a couple months from now. But we can't grow if we're not learning from people who are where we want to be at. So we talked about showing up to Zooms, getting on lives and things like that. Then make sure that you're listening to a sermon every day. Make sure you're reading a book or listening to an audiobook, listening to podcasts while you're driving. My favorite times to do self-development is whatever audiobook I'm listening to. Whenever I'm in the car, I don't listen to music. I have a book on. And then when I'm in the shower at night, I always put a book on an audiobook playing on my phone. And then when I do my makeup, that's 3 times that guaranteed every day I'm going to be able to get my book in. And by always, having a book on during those times, I'm able to finish an audiobook every single week, which that means if someone recommends a book, maybe Cami or Pam or Mike or whoever, and I hear it, I can write it down and I can get to it literally within a week, because I'm always finishing books. And that allows me to just keep learning, keep sharpening my skills, getting more confident. You guys, I have an event in Dallas this weekend. I just listened to a book last week that was just on public speaking by Dale Carnegie. I'm always trying to get my hands on anything I can to better myself, get more confident, and just, grow myself as a person. And so if that's something that you maybe are listening to, this is definitely one of my weak spots. I'm not making this a priority. I'm telling you, when you make that a priority, the game changes. It's amazing how much you feel like you grow from there. And so the other thing that I wanted to touch on, and this isn't anything to do with self-development, but I meant to say this earlier. Monique had mentioned with Host to Post, like if you have people that maybe post negative things on Facebook, their posts for you maybe won't do as well. On that note, I wanted to share, even if you're someone who a lot of life has happened to you, I want to encourage you to keep your Facebook and your Instagram, your social media presence in general, very positive and very uplifting. People are attracted to the light, you guys. And so whenever we're complaining on social media or we're being negative or anything like that, we repel people away from us. Or if we do attract people to us, it's people we probably don't want in our business. But when we're positive and we're always just being a light in people's life, we inspire people. I think of Monique with her breast cancer journey. I've never seen her post something negative, even if there's something she's going through. I can remember even one of her surgeries, a couple months ago, nothing she posted on social media was negative. She was, sharing her journey, but always, being so positive about everything and so inspiring. And so I encourage you, those of you who are watching, who maybe have, just some really deep life stuff going on, check your posts on social media. Make sure that you're not, coming across like a whiner or a complainer, but rather you're, coming across as someone who's, firmly positioned and postured in gratitude, and someone who is, a light in people's lives and is, always sees the good and is expectant, for what their future holds. So anyways, Monique, what is one last thing that you would want to share with everybody, just to end the month strong, whether it's something tangible they can do, mindset, just whatever?
I would have to go back to mindset, because I know for me, like I mentioned earlier, that July and August was very hard for me. I mean, I had a lot of emotional stuff going on. Lost a family member. I'm dealing with a lot of pain. I had a lot going on. And so I felt like the devil was constantly pulling at me. I was constantly working, constantly trying to stay on focus, with what I was posting and keeping my routine up. But at the same time, I kept feeling like I was being pulled in another direction. There was always something else pulling at me. So what I find is you have to sometimes you just have to step back and get your mind back on the right track. You and self-development will do that for you. I find that what I do is I just pull up a lot of sermons, and I listen to them. And if I find a really good one, then I'll keep listening to it over and over and over so I can get my mind back on track. Because what I feel like is, like it's almost like I was battling. I mean, and like I said, I felt like I had fell off the horse, but I had to step back and say, wait a minute, this is not nothing but the devil trying to mess with you. Get yourself together, get your head down, and keep moving forward. And so that is so important. Your mindset is so important in what you do. Because if you're not, if people can look at your post, or even when you're talking to them, if they can't feel that you're in a positive mindset, that you really believe in what you're doing, that you really believe in the products that you're selling, then they're not going to order from you. They're not going to sign up for you. If they don't feel like this business is really doing something for you, or that you're really going to get something from this business, they're not going to be a distributor for you either. So it's all about mindset. Even on your bad days, you got to just smile. You got to get through it. You got to stay focused. I think one thing that comes to mind is I was listening to a sermon yesterday about grace. And the pastor was talking about how many whiplashes that was taken. And so I think sometimes we think that we're entitled, and we don't think about what God went through. We don't think about all of that. We don't think about the sacrifice that he made for us. And I think that we have to do that. We got to think about that. I mean, if somebody can put their self on the line for you, then why come you can't put yourself on the line for yourself? That's just the way I look at it. If you signed up for this business, you signed up for a reason. Be the best that you can be. Be the best version of you. Know that grace is a gift.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much, Monique. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love so much how real you are, that it's not that everything has to be going perfect, but it's a decision. You can make a decision to pick your head up off the floor and to keep going. And I want to encourage everyone on here tonight, like, if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will. Like, you've got it. Whatever you're going through right now is so temporary in the grand scheme of your life. And like Monique said, when we really think about what Jesus went through to give us life, and he came to give us life, he came to give us life abundantly, why would we not take full advantage of it? And why would we not do our best? Show up every day for ourselves, show up every day for others who have been put in our life for a reason, and lay it all out on the table. I share this a lot, and I think that when I heard this, it's something that just really changed my mindset and made it so much simpler to choose the right things on the hard days. And I read something in a book, it was The Last Arrow, and he said that, his prayer is that he arrives at the end of his life with his quiver empty and the last arrow in his hand ready to strike. And he wants to be able to look Jesus in the face and say, I used everything that you gave me. There was no arrows left. Like, I struck every arrow into the ground until I had none left, until it was time to meet you. And I think that when we go through life with that mindset, we realize we can face anything. We have the strength to face anything that comes against us. And I think too, just it's so important to remember, whatever's going on right now, you're stronger now at this point in your life than you've ever been before. You have more experience at this point in your life, at this point in your business, than you had when you started. And so whatever seems so big and scary right now, when you break it down and you realize, I'm more equipped now than I've ever been, I can do this. I can pick myself up, I can pick up the pieces, and I can keep going. So on that note, you guys, let's rock out September. The things we do are simple. You just have to be willing to do them. So we love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. I can't wait to rock out this month with you guys. Can't wait to see everybody in green carpet. It's going to be so amazing. Thank you so much, Monique, for getting on and for sharing. Bye, guys.